Hey guys, welcome to prep day. Hey guys, and in today's video we are going to be seeing how much prep the Pinwheels Year 1 prep really is. So when I started looking into this curriculum, the one thing that I saw that people talked most about was how much work it was to get it ready for the school year. You're going to have to excuse my living room / kitchen because we are in the process of moving, so everything is kind of all over the place, and when you're trying to set your homeschool up, of course you have got stuff everywhere, so I am sorry for the amount of stuff around me in this video, but it is life. So anyway, back the way that Pinwheels is laid out when they send you the PDF, because it is an all digital curriculum, so they send you all of the information on how to print each and every piece of their program. So that is super nice, and it's very detailed, and even though I accidentally missed a couple steps, I still made it through and found the process to be pretty straightforward and pretty simple, and they do a really good job in holding your hand in the process. First, I'm going to talk about how Pinwheels is set up. So they give you a number of files. So you have the educator guide, which is what you teach from. They give you the student workbook. They give you a reading kit A and a reading kit B. And then they also give you 3 different appendixes, which is things for games and letter tiles and letter cards, things like that. So, and then in Appendix C, they also give you pieces that you will use over and over again throughout the curriculum, like copy paper and game boards and things like that. So I purchased Year 1, and Year 1 is broken down into Level 1 and Level 2. And so those are sent to you on broken down into 2 different levels. So for Level 1, you have an educator guide, you have a student workbook, and you have the reading kits, and you have the appendixes. And then for Level 2, they will send you another educator guide and another workbook and 2 more reading kits. So to the new user, it can look like a lot of information. And the really nice thing that they do also is that not only do they provide you with all of the instructions on how to print it and how to prep it, but they also send it to you in bulk. So you can print each of the workbook and the educator guide and the reading kits and the appendixes. You can print it by file, or they also break it down by unit. So for instance, if you're overwhelmed by the amount of information that they're sending you, you can go into Unit 1 and just print out what you're going to use for Unit 1 with the educator guide and the workbook and the reading kits, etc. So that is super nice, and I know a lot of people on the Facebook group had recommended doing that, but because I'm going through this with 2 different students, we're going to be going through the level at 2 different rates. It's just easier to print and prep all of Level 1 and Level 2 all at the same time, just so that I can get that done and off of my plate. That's just how I operate better. And what I did was I actually printed the educator guide and I printed the student workbook all in one file. So I hit print on my educator guide, and it's over 200 pages, I want to say. And I just let my printer go. Shout out to my Canon Megatank. This printer is amazing. I printed so many pages and it barely touched the ink level. So shout out to my printer. So I printed the educator guide and I set it and I forget it and let it print, and I came back to it. It probably took over an hour to print just the educator guide. And I did the same thing for the student workbook. I printed it all one time in one file, and I I bound that. So the educator guide and the student workbook are printed and bound. Everything else I went through and I printed it off by unit. So reading kit A, reading kit B, and the appendixes, I printed it off by unit. And I would say that I would definitely do that differently, and I did do it differently when I got to level 2, because Rooted in Language, which is the company that put out the Pinwheels curriculum, did a really amazing job of keeping everything labeled. So I would definitely do that different if I did it again. So what I'm doing here is I am printing everything out by unit. So I opened up the files for unit 1, unit 2, unit 3, and I printed off everything that was not the educator guide and the student workbook. And one of the annoying things about doing it by unit is that there's different print settings for the reader kits, and there's also the 2 of the appendix are printed on cardstock. So you kind of had to go pick and choose what you were doing, change the printing setting, change the paper, and it was just too much for me. I definitely would rather print the file as it is with the print settings and the paper, and then divvy it up by unit after, especially since they have everything labeled. So once I had everything printed and I had all the units put into their own individual plastic folders, I got to cutting. And I would say that definitely have a podcast going in your ears, or have Netflix going, have a show going, take some time to yourself to really just be able to listen to a book, listen to a podcast, watch a show, because there is a lot of cutting and a lot of just sitting and doing repetitive work to get all of these little pieces and parts put together. So I definitely wish I would have had a show going, but I was just listening to my kids. And if you ever listen to your kids play, my kids are 4 and 5. I don't know where they come up with some of these ideas. It's actually pretty funny. I almost felt like I was on a Maury Povich show at some points, but I just don't know where they come up with some of these ideas. So this is me doing the letter tiles, and let me tell you, getting through this first unit, I think, is the hardest. So once you get through this first unit, you should definitely give yourself a break, throw yourself a little party, whatever you want to do, pat yourself on the back, because this first unit was definitely the most challenging to get through. But these letter tiles, I'm going to share a tip with you, and maybe everybody knows this but me, but anytime I tried to move this folder, the letter tiles would move. And I was beginning to think that there was just absolutely no way I was going to get the letter tiles to get laminated. We were going to stick with cardstock, or we were just going to throw out the letter tiles altogether. I don't know, but I was just getting so frustrated. It was a losing battle. I finally just decided that it was time to just take a break. The letter tiles would have to wait. So as I sat there and I cut and I cut and I cut, and thought about how much I really despise these letter tiles at this point, I remembered a hack that I had seen on some social media platform, I don't know, of a teacher that said you should use glue stick when you are laminating small pieces, because the pieces won't fall all over the place. So let me tell you, thank you to that teacher, whoever you are, because you saved my sanity and possibly changing to another curriculum, because I was ready to throw away these letter tiles. And so if you have laminating to do, remember your glue stick. It is a lifesaver. And voila, we have letter tiles. So the prep of level 1 did take me a couple days, but that is because I did not have all the materials that I needed to have. But I would say that prepping all of the games and whatnot, you could probably do in an afternoon, as long as you have everything printed. If you try and print everything and prep everything in one day, I'm not sure that you would have enough time. Like I said, with the educator guide and the student workbook, I just hit print and walked away from it and came back and it was ready for me to bind and put together. So I also would suggest which I'll talk about in a little bit, but the reader kits to print all one time and then just split it up by folder and not doing it by unit, because doing it by unit, if you are going to put it all together at the same time, definitely added a lot of time onto my schedule. So if you print everything in advance and then you have a whole day to cut and prep and get everything put together, I think that is probably a sufficient amount of time. And also having the materials, like I said, I did not have this hole punch here, so I had to come back the next day once I was able to get a hole punch. So yeah, have the materials and everything printed, and one day should be enough. Okay, now we're going to talk about these readers. And for some reason, my brain just could not process how these readers were set up. The pages are numbered on the bottom, and I, for the life of me, could not get them lined up. So one of the other things that of the downside about printing by unit is that the instructions are not included with the unit. So if you want the instructions, for example, on how to build the readers, or you have to look at the main file. So as you can see here, I did have to pull out my computer and pull that file up. And even though they gave very detailed instructions, I was just still not getting it. So for people that are going to build this curriculum, know that there are instructions and that you put the folded side out. That is how you get the numbers to work. I mean, this literally took me way longer than it should, especially with printed directions. I honestly don't know why it was so hard for me, but hey, after this unit, there's pretty much a reader with every single unit, so don't worry, I got a lot more practice, and it took me down from 15 minutes for one to just a minute for pretty much all the rest. So once you get in your groove, you're fine and things really start to speed up. I want to say when I did level 2, which is mainly just readers that you're putting together with the units, the second level maybe took me an hour to put together. So lots of practice and getting into your groove. Watch a show, listen to a book, and the time will go by super fast. And don't make the same mistakes that I made. Hopefully you learned something in this video that will help you when you put your curriculum together if you are doing the Pinwheels curriculum. One thing I can say that I appreciate about doing all of this prep work is I really got to know each of the units and kind of what to expect. I mean, I'm not reading the educator guide as I'm going through this, but it did help me get to know the curriculum a little bit and what we have to look forward to. I really think that this is going to be a curriculum that both of my kids will enjoy. And as we get here to the end of the prep work and I'm on my last reader, I put it in, and that is that. Every unit is in their plastic folder and we are ready to go. As a file, a complete file, all at the same time, I printed off the student workbook, the year 1 level 1. So this is all one print. Probably took me an hour to print all of these. I cannot praise my Canon Mega Tank highly enough. I love it. I barely used any ink, and I've done both levels, which is a lot of pages, and the ink has barely moved. So anyway, so this is the student workbook. I printed it one time, and then I did the educator guide. Again, I split it up by before the take a breath and after the take a breath. That all at the same time. I printed off, I did separate the educator resources. So at the end of the educator guide, they have this cheat sheet for the different games that you play and sight words and things like that. So I did just go ahead and separate that. So if I needed it, I had it. Printed off the accelerated pace, which is what I plan to go through with my son until we reach a point that we need to slow down, and then we'll go into the actual program. But so that is the things that I printed on their own. And then here is the big daddy here. Let's see. more than the reading kit B. This is the reading kits and the appendixes. And yeah, so I have my notebook, the kids have their workbook, and then everything else that we're going to do for the units are going to be broken up in this workbook. So unit 1, unit 2, and we keep on going. I'm going to show you once we get to the readers so you kind of have an idea of, you know, once we get further in, everything's going to be in its little unit folder. So let's go ahead and show you unit 9. So once I open up this binder, I know that everything that I need for the unit is going to be here. So we have our word list, our sentences. I did not cut these up because I haven't decided what I want to do with them yet. We have our copy work. It's copy work, okay? And then we also have our reader that we're going to use in this unit. And we have our retell a story. So anything that I'm going to need for this unit, I can open up my binder and it is ready to go. And I have that done for all of them. And again, this is just year 1, level 1. And then at the back here, I have the letter tiles. I did put them in this business card binder, and then I stapled, but they're not, now that I stapled it up here, they're staying, but I definitely am going to have to figure out a way to keep these. They're staying here, but now I don't know how I'm going to get it out. Yeah, so I might have to get some plastic bins for the letter tiles, but we'll see. I like having it all in one place. And then in the back here, I have a folder, and this is all of the Appendix C. So everything that we're going to use, we might use multiple times, I have back here. And so like our traffic light editing, the small ones, the large ones, and then this is all the lines. So if I want to print this, make a copy of this for the kids to do their copy work, I can just come back here and grab those sheets. I don't know, I might just make a couple copies of these, 3-hole punch them and put them up front, like of this folder, so that I have them and they're ready to go, but we will see as we go on. And again, more appendix things file in the house, and that is it. That is the end of my level 1 binder. So for level 2, I actually didn't print anything by unit. A lot of the games and little pieces that we used in level 1 can be reused or will be reused in level 2. So I will transfer this over when we're done with level 1. So I printed all at the same time. I did the reading kit, or the reading kit A. I went ahead and I printed all of the reading kit B, because you can see down here, it is labeled by unit. So I will just go through these and staple the books together real quick and put them in their matching unit. So, you know, that'll take me just a couple minutes, because again, the amount of times you do it in level 1, you are proficient by the end. So it did not take very long. And then I'll cut this up, put it in the matching unit, and then this is unit 18, so that'll go on to the next one. Again, unit 19. So all of these are labeled, and I will just put them into the correct unit. So I think that that is much easier. You don't have to change the printer setting, because the reader kit B is a different print setting. You don't have to be switching back and forth between when you're printing by unit. Yeah, I just think it's easier this way. Do it all one time, prepare it, put it in its matching folder as you go, and yeah, that's it. That is how I recommend you do your printing. Now here is the million-dollar question. Is the Pinwheels prep too much? Is it a lot? Yes. Is it manageable? Yes. I would say it took a couple days to print and prepare both levels. Um, it took a little, actually, it took 3 days because I didn't have all of the materials. So let me go ahead and tell you what you're going, if you do it the way that I did it, at least. Okay, so if you're going to do it in plastic folders by unit, I first got these binders off Amazon, and it's a 4-pack, 3-inch binders. So I know I have enough for year 1 and year 2. I will use these other 2 in year 2 when I purchase them. I also need the laminating sheets if you plan on laminating the games and the cardstock. These are the plastic folders for inside the binders, what I put each unit in. And then you need a mini binder, and these are for the flip cards. I actually found this one at the thrift store for just a couple bucks, but you can get these on Amazon or at Office Depot, or it's a 5x8 mini binder. And then, most importantly, you will need scissors. This is the star of the show. A 1-hole punch for your flip cards, and then, of course, the glue stick for laminating. Do not forget your glue stick. If you are planning on laminating any of these little pieces, you will need the glue stick. For printing, they give you this very nicely broken down graph about paper that you will need. So either regular 20-pound paper, 24-pound paper for double-sided printing. Also cardstock if you want to print the appendices on cardstock. You will need that as well. Oh, I also use the binder clip. This is a multi-size binder set that I got from Amazon. I will link it down below. I will link everything down below. And then the stapler. And then this is what I used to put the letter tiles in, but I'm not so sure that this is going to work. So I don't know. Just take that with a grain of salt. I did also use these 5-star folders that are able to be put in your binder with the 3 holes in it, and also these pencil pouches that have the 3 holes in it that can go in the binder. And that's it. Those are going to be the supplies that you need to prep for Pinwheels. I'm sure that was a lot to take in. So you saw me print and prep everything. You saw the supply list, and you saw how I recommended the binder be put together just for ease of use. We have done a couple lessons, and I will say that it is working splendidly. So I don't think that it's too much to prep. It's definitely manageable within a day as long as everything is printed beforehand. But once everything's in the binder, honestly, it's very open and go. So I don't think there's too many pieces, too many parts. Everything is in here. And so when we do our work, I just bring this out with our educator guide and our student workbook, and it's actually pretty easy. So after I recorded all these videos, put them together, and laid everything out, I did find out that Rooted in Language is closing in 2026. So I'm going to put this up anyway, and in hopes that if you do want to use the Pinwheels curriculum, that it helps you. And if you're thinking about using the Pinwheels curriculum, because there is still time, 2026, we've got months. So it gives you plenty of time to see if you want to use their other programs, if you want to use the Pinwheels program. Hopefully it gives you some insight into that. I will be keeping you updated as to our progress throughout the program. But yeah, we're 2 thumbs up over here. And thank you for watching and bearing with me through all of that, trials and tribulations, and putting everything together. I hope you found it helpful, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye.